Hello and welcome to GlitchCube, we're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. As always, I'm Christian.
No, I'm Chris.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us once again as we dive further into the world of games. So this week we are excited. It is that time of the month once again for us. That's right. You heard me right. It's our time of the month to go over the book gaming club of the month thingy that we have. Yeah, still don't have a good name for it, but that's okay. You guys get it. You understand what we're going for. But like we said, last month's game, or for the game for April, was Lord of the Rings, The Middle Ages. And if you haven't heard of that game, we're not surprised. But it is Lord of the Rings meets turn-based combat. Think Final Fantasy X, but Lord of the Rings skin on top of it, right? There is a lot to dissect and dive into with this one, but it seems like it's a really hidden kind of game, right? Like I'd never heard of this before. It was pretty fun, but we're both pretty excited to chat about it. Disclosure though, neither one of us finished this game. It's a lot. It definitely is. But we have played it more than enough to give our honest opinions and chat about it for this month. And then at the end of the episode, we will announce what May's game of the month is going to be, or games of the month. Ooh, spoiler there. But yeah, let's dive right in. Well, we get a little bit of the history of this game, because it's definitely a weird one, right? Especially after some of the more successful titles of the Lord of the Rings games, usually action-adventure ones, right?
Yeah, so leading up to this, there were Lord of the Rings games before that. This studio did The Return of the King the prior year to that, and I don't think they did Two Towers game, but that did exist by that point.
Mm-hmm.
But the studio at the time was called EA Redwood Shores. They would later turn into Visceral Games, who, ultimately their biggest game would be the Dead Space franchise. And, prior to that, their first game, which is a game I actually really, really like, is Future Cop LAPD for the PlayStation. It's you're like a little mech in like a futuristic dystopian world, and you're flying. It's kind of like a twin stick shooter for as good as they could be on the PlayStation. Amazing game, in my opinion. I really like it. But other than that, they did a lot of the Tiger Woods games for the late 90s, early 2000s. They did James Bond. They did Freak Style, which is a pretty cool game.
I haven't heard of that one.
Pretty bad, but pretty cool. And it's like SSX, but like freaky.
Yeah.
And
like DMX
then they did
freaky, or just kind of like,
yeah, I would say it's closer to that than SSX.
Okay.
But after this game, they would go and do the Godfather games. They did a lot of the Sims ports, right? So like Sims 2 Pets, Castaway, the Simpsons game, a lot of stuff for console releases, Dante's Inferno. Their last game was Battlefield Hardline, which, yeah, I remember people really hating on that game a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
this interesting track record, more or less.
Yeah, interesting, because this studio didn't really work on an RPG like this before.
Mm-hmm.
And, this came out in 2004. It came out on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, and the GBA. But that was, I think it plays a little different.
Yeah, the graphics are different, and the gameplay is very different for the GBA one, which is really interesting that they came out with these two games simultaneously, and they're supposed to be the same, right?
Yeah, but that happened during that era, because there'd be games that were on the PlayStation 2 that would come to the GBA and they'd be like different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know the Cat in the Hat game is like that. And,
oh, yeah.
To me, whenever I think of like a great port to a handheld, it's the Tony Hawk games. Tony Hawk on the GBA.
Yeah, those were great.
Insane how they did that.
Right.
But for this game, it's a turn-based RPG. Very much in line with Final Fantasy X, which came out 3 years prior. And that was actually one of the biggest criticisms when reviews came out, saying that, you know, the graphics and visuals look great, which, you know, they really do. The faces on the characters look fantastic. Gandalf
Yeah.
looks amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, the story is kind of lackluster and it feels too much like Final Fantasy X. And, you know, I know a lot of people are like, well, that's great. 10 is an amazing game. And, you know, you're not wrong, but it takes only a few things from 10. I think, you know, the two biggest one is the way the battle system looks, right? It has a little turn order. Combat is practically 1-for-1. As someone who loved that about 10, that's what actually got me really excited about this game. I didn't know about this game back in the day. I heard about this game, I don't know, right before the pandemic when people started really posting all these like hidden gem stuff. And this game would get brought up quite a bit at that point because, man, no one knew about this. And I'm glad I finally got to check it out because ultimately, from what I played, and when I looked at a guide to kind of see how far along I am, it looks like I'm at least halfway through the game. And I do intend to finish this because, I don't know, I'm kind of curious to see how this wraps up. But the thing about Final Fantasy X that it also kind of takes from is the linear progression in the sense that you're always kind of on rails. And I know this game will come out years later, but it reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy 13, how it's like you're in an area, you're doing stuff in that area, and you're getting pushed to the next area. And it's never like that big of a place to explore. Like they are big, but it's not like there's a variety or a lot to do in them.
It's just a series of hallways and corridors. Yeah,
which is fine. It's just the narrative in this is kind of doesn't feel compelling enough for you to always just keep moving along. And this game is it takes place during, you know, the Fellowship of the Ring trilogy. So those 3 movies. And it's kind of, you know, you are on this journey at the same time Frodo is doing his journey. And, you know, you come across characters from the movie, and which is cool. The scenes that have that are really cool. But it does get kind of old because you're kind of sitting there like, okay, so I'm, you know, doing my walking journey just like Frodo, but it's never super interesting. There's moments of that, but you know, battles always kind of are the same. It's always the same kind of enemies, right? You're fighting goblins, you're fighting orcs, you're fighting trolls, and that's about it. You know, I have seen a little more variety that later I've gotten into the game, but it's almost always the same. And I don't know, it makes it kind of hard to get through in a sense, just because of that. I feel like I'm enjoying it because going from Crimson Desert to this, it's nice having a game that's not so open and it just pushes me along, right? It's kind of a nice little break from that open world, open-ended feeling. But I'm now at this point in the game, it's getting kind of hard to push through that. I'm kind of like, okay, I want to just see more of the story and not have to do, you know, find these 3 groups. Oh, you found 1 out of 3. Now find the other. And it's like, it just gets kind of old.
Yeah, that was kind of bugging me about the game, honestly, where it's like, oh, you need to find 8 pieces of whatever the hell this is, right? Like, but it's just text on the screen. You're not really, and you're just opening up chests, which you would do anyway, right? As you're exploring, but it locks you out of areas until you go through and find every single chest, right? And I was really enjoying the combat system itself, but I think one of the things that trips me up, and I still don't fully understand it, is the whole enemy warning meter, the Eye of Sauron, right? That pops up in the corner. Like, it's like that it's not random battles. It's the battles are placed into certain areas, right? So like if you approach a chest, you're probably going to get into a fight, right? If you go down a certain hallway, you're going to end up in a fight. Like the fights are predetermined. So it almost felt like leveling up was going to be really difficult to do because of the way that the battle system worked and the skill system worked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, did you get a better sense of that system? Because I was still trying to kind of figure it out, where there was moments where I was just kind of wandering around and I never ran into anything. But then as soon as I turned the corner to a new area and I saw a chest, all of a sudden a battle popped up, right? But that eye would show up constantly, but I would never
Yes.
get into a fight, right? Like,
It would be, yeah, I kind of experimented with it where it's like, okay, there's like, say you're running towards a set of stairs and there's two little things off to the side of it before you go up the stairs. One of them has a way to a chest because you can see it from the distance. The other's a dead end. And I was thinking, oh, I'm going to get that chest. I'm going to get into a fight because I saw that little icon popping up. But instead it went away. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But then when I went up the stairs, it popped. So I'm like, it must be when you get to maybe a vicinity, they maybe pop up. But it is weird. Like, there was one point I was running back and forth in this map a lot because I got kind of confused about what to do next. And I had not gone into a fight at all. That whole going back and forth. It wasn't until I was kind of progressing because I figured out what to do that I got into another fight. Now, 2 areas later, I'm getting in the fights like consistently, like a lot. And it is kind of annoying because it's like way more often than anything that I experienced yet. But yeah, it's weird. I don't understand it. I've also noticed it's like 2 meters fill up. Like there's 2 bubbles.
Yeah, there's a blue one and then there's the eye, right? And
yeah, I don't understand it. But you know, the battles, thankfully, I'm playing on the normal, the default difficulty, and it's not difficult really. There was, you know, the major story fight that happens kind of like, you know, not early, but like getting on the way to halfway. That was a difficulty spike until you kind of figured out what to do. But it's kind of a simple game. Maybe because I'm also kind of like really paying attention to how you do your skills, because this is a game where your active skills, in order to unlock them, you have to use that category of the skill, right? So say you have axe moves and spirit moves. If you want a new axe move, you just have to use those moves a bunch, and then you unlock a new one.
And
And
it's a
same
lot
with
more
spirit.
than you think, though. And for the amount of fights that you get into in the beginning, it doesn't feel like, at least up to like close-ish to the halfway point, it doesn't feel like there's enough encounters to really level up the way that you're used to when it comes to like a turn-based RPG, like Final Fantasy, right? Like it does feel restricted in that sense. Or I kept running out of magic, and I'm like, okay, well, I just can't level up that ability then, right? Like, I guess whenever I level up, I need to put in more points into this so that I can actually level up those abilities. But then at the same time, there were certain monsters where I was like, well, this thing's almost dead, but I don't want to waste a basic attack. Like, but I guess I'll watch this long animation so that I can at least get 2 more points, right? Like, there was a lot of that going on, which I did find a little frustrating in the combat system. But for some reason, the combat still was engaging to me, right? I think one of the interesting things that it does with its combat that a lot of other turn-based games don't do is proximity, right? Where depending on where your person is, they might not be able to even hit the enemy, right? And at first that could be really annoying, right? Until you figure out that there is an option in the battle menu to move your characters or to shuffle them, right? So that the person who can hit them is forward facing enough to then do so, right? Like, there is some interesting ideas that are built in. I do like that they have the swap out system as well. So you never feel like you're not using your entire party. If someone is better fit for a battle, you can swap them in right away, no problem, no penalties, right? And I thought that was a really nice aspect, because so many times with turn-based games, you end up with a party that's too large and you'll never use half of them, right? It still happens to this day in modern games. I mean, look at Expedition, right? There's 2 party members that I just never used until the very end. I'm like, oh God, now I need to use these people, right? Like, it was one of those things, right? So I do like those aspects a lot, and I don't see proximity being used in other games. Or like I don't remember seeing that functionality put in anything else that I've played. I know you play a lot of like more indie or more obscure titles sometimes, but like have you seen that proximity battle system before? Like especially in a turn-based game?
Not oh, proximity. You mean like the random stuff
Well,
popping up?
like the
Kind
no,
of like
like
that.
the like let's say there are archers up on the wall. Like your
Oh
swordsman's not
yeah,
going to be able to hit them. You need to rotate your party so that the archer is forward facing to hit them, right? Like
yeah. There have been games I've played that have done that, but it's not often. Especially in older titles, like sometimes it'd be like where a character is far away, but like eventually like they would get moved up or
mhm.
something like that.
Like I've
But
seen it where like if your melee guys in the back row, they do less damage, but they have higher defense, right? Like there's tiny aspects
yeah,
like that, but I see what you
yeah,
mean.
it's not common even to this day. Like I have seen it, but not often enough where or done well enough where it really stands out. I
Mhm.
think it was done really well in this. I really
Mhm.
like that because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a cool mechanic. And the battle system, I like the perfect mode, right? It's kind of like the limit break in this where your meter fills up. You can either do the arrow
Mhm.
volley, whatever, that just hits everybody for like obscene amounts of damage, or you can do a singular attack that uses a bit of the meter but does heavy damage as well, but to one. And
The arrow
I think
volley was
it's
like insta kill. You're only hitting for like two, three
yes.
hundred damage, and then the arrow volley's like 3,000 damage. I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah, it's insane how like that thing. If I get into a fight with like four people or something, I'm like, I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah.
But
Which you need to
I
use the arrow volleys as well in order to get new finisher moves.
yes,
So
thankfully
like,
those seem to
yeah.
level fast.
Yeah, you only have to
But
do them a couple times, so that was kind of nice. So,
and I will say you do level up pretty quickly in this game. I feel like I'm right now. I think I'm level 30 with most of my characters. Like they're leveled pretty like they feel like they're leveled pretty high.
yeah.
Obviously some fights still feel like they drag on, so it's not a cakewalk, but it is feel nice seeing a level up every couple battles and I'm like, ooh, I get to put more points in my character, which I don't know. I think this game is really like it's not amazing, it's not mind blowing. I think it's a very enjoyable game. Lord of the Rings titles, because a lot of the main trilogy ones were hack and slash titles, they were kind of just whatever, right? They were
Hmm.
not bad. They were just good. I am more of a fan of the two that were on the 360, the Battle for Middle Earth 2, which is fantastic.
Hmm.
And I think the other one is not War in the North, but it's something like that title. It's got like a blue cover. And I thought those were done really well. And obviously later on, you have the Shadow of Mordor and stuff like that. But this game, like, as someone who truly loves Final Fantasy X, I really like this game because it just feels kind of comfy,
Hmm.
but it's never like where I'm like, oh, this is, a truly amazing game. I think it is a hidden gem. I think for someone that wants a turn-based RPG that's a little different, I think this would fill that role
Right.
pretty well. And, there was something about this game that just feels a little different. And the I think the thing that I've been enjoying a lot more than I thought I would is that this game has this mode called evil mode.
I
And
looked at
I
that. I didn't check
had
it out. I was curious about
so
that.
I really like it. It's a mode that once you fully complete an area and move on to the next, you unlock evil mode for that prior area. And basically, you take on the role of the enemies in the bigger fights for that area.
Okay.
And so you're fighting your normal party. They don't have the same skills as you do during that time. So they could have stronger skills or weaker skills depending, just how you level them normally.
Hmm.
And like they never feel too difficult. Like I've been able to win all of them so far. I've done them all. I've done maybe 4 of them at this point. And you get really good stuff from them. Like I think like a really powerful, maybe it was a sword or a helmet, and like it's still like that was from the second area, I think, and it's still holding me into like the 5th area. So it's like you get good stuff from it. But I think they're worth doing. I really like it. It's kind of fun being the villain in the game. I think it's done really well. And I kind of like, if you're playing a game it's not chapter based, but it feels like it because you go through a region. Then when you're done with it, you move on to the next. You can always go back to the other regions from a save point. But I like that it's kind of chapter based. And after each chapter, you get that evil mode. And I'm thinking, man, this is kind of a cool mechanic that would be fun in other games. Like, it'd be fun to play as the villains, fight your party, because to me, I look at it like, oh, they're using that move that I didn't want them to learn because I wanted something different. But now I see how effective it is against, the party as an enemy. So
that's interesting. So you're getting new loot, but you're also learning about your abilities too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, because like the archer used an arrow move that I didn't have. I was curious about it, but I was working on a different skill, and he used it, and it was surprisingly pretty effective against the character that he hit. And I was like, oh, maybe I should try and learn that skill. It's interesting. Obviously it's not like full testing to see how stuff works like that, but it's a cool system, and I like that you get rewarded for it. And another big thing that I love, and I love any game that does this, you see everything you equip.
Oh,
it's awesome.
That immediately hooked me. I was like, yep, I love this. Every bit of armor, every weapon that you get, that's brand
even
new.
The buckles,
even
and
the
like
buckles,
the other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is my game.
But that's a big thing about this. I will say that despite it being kind of like a undergroundy hidden gem kind of thing, it doesn't feel like mainline Lord of the Rings games, especially for the time. Like, there's a lot of work that got put into the visuals of this game that is really, really well done, right? Like you said earlier, the character animations were fantastic. They look like the actors, right? Like, especially for being an older game. The fact that you get visual representation of all of your armor and weapon upgrades and changes is really cool, right? Like, you get to customize these characters to the T, right? And not just that, like the stat bonuses that you get, it's like an old school RPG where you get to pick which stats that you want to boost, which is really fun, right? So like you have full customization ability there, which is really, really nice as a player. And then to top all of that off, all of the cutscenes and everything like that are narrated by Sir Ian McKellen himself, right? Like, it's kind of crazy that they got him. So Gandalf is narrating this entire thing, right? Like, it's really cool because you can tell that, yes, they thought that this was going to be bigger than it was. I mean, with the success of Final Fantasy X just 3 years prior, how could you not, right? They were really trying to harp on that. And I feel like they did a really good job with that turn-based system and making it Lord of the Rings. The story is a little goofy at times. It does feel a little weird because you're following not unknown characters, right, in the Lord of the Ring franchise, but you are getting paired up with known characters throughout the entirety of the thing, right, of the game itself, which I think is really cool, and it really sells it. But I think what made it pretty interesting in my mind was that as you're playing through the game, like, let's say when you're in the mines, right, there's the scene in the movie where I believe it was like Pippin and them, they knock over that goblin over the side of the cliff, right? You see where that goblin lands. Like, he lands right in front of you, right? Like, you get to fight with Gandalf against the Balrog, right? Like, now the whole end of that fight doesn't really make sense because it seems like you kind of jump out of the way of the bridge and he still falls, whatever, right? Like, because the story needs to progress. Like, it does get a little weird there. But like, all of the major plot points in the Lord of the Rings games, you play a part in that. Now, like, I didn't finish, you got a little further than me, but I wanted to watch some videos to see, like, what's the end game here, right? Like, where are we going with this? Because there's some tie-ins there. And full spoiler warning for an old game that not many people are going to play anyway, right? Like, but the ending of it is pretty great. Like with the whole tower of the Eye of Sauron falling and exploding in the movie, it turns out you're the ones that are there doing that, right? Like
Hmm.
it is kind of fascinating that like you end up playing such a pivotal role in this part, but just as a background character while everything else is going on. It is very interesting. I don't know, like I'm kind of thrown off by it, but like they threw a lot at this game. They really did. And you can feel like the amount of work that got put into it. There's just some little bits of polish that just kind of make it a little bit rough, right? And I think it really ties back into like this is not what Lord of the Rings fans were expecting, right? Because everything up to this point
Mm-hmm.
has been action, and everything after that point has been pure action, right? Like haven't gone back to this turn-based side of it, things. But it's also that I would say the Lord of the Rings games are probably more popular in the Western market, right? Where
Yep.
turn-based games are not super popular in the Western market. They are becoming more popular with different games that are coming out, right? Like Expedition, the Persona games, right? You know, like there is a market out here, but it's not as big as when it comes to an action kind of game, right? So it I don't know, it is a very interesting title. I can honestly say that I'm really enjoying it, and it's a game I want to continue to play, but it it was very surprising. I'll say that, right? Like there's a lot of work done in certain areas and then not as much in others, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not balanced in the workflow, I think. I think that they really wanted to make sure that the visuals look great to keep you hooked in, to make sure that you know you're in the Lord of the Rings world, and they wanted to make sure that that turn-based combat system was exactly what they wanted. Everything else just kind of fell by the wayside, right? When it came to the map designs, the traversal, the enemy encounters, all those that side of it, I think is the weak side, right? Like that third of the game, I think is, in my opinion, the weaker points of it. Still fine, but not really up to the same like standards of the visuals and the battle system, in my opinion, right?
Yeah. I mean, you think about back then when it came out, and yeah, like you were saying, like turn-based RPGs like this were not big out here in a way where it would be like in Japan, right? A lot of the people were used to more like computer RPGs, like Baldur's Gate and stuff. So when
Hmm.
you have a more like turn-based build like this, it just felt kind of different. People want to hack and slash because, in the movies, there's always the big wars. So yeah, I could see it being kind of off putting
Hmm.
for people. But yeah, the idea of it playing along with the movies in a way like that, like it's cool. Like this game, I really like it. I think it does its job well. I think, is it worth going back to? Well, if you're a big Lord of the Rings fan, I think yes. But I also
Right.
think like, you're in for a game that's probably, you know, twice like it's too long for its own good. Right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
these zones I'm in kind of take longer than they need to be. And it's a bummer because I think like even though this game is very linear, you're going down corridors, if they cut down each dungeon by half, I think this game would be fantastic. Like
Oh yeah.
amazing in a sense because it keeps up with that fast pace that the story is trying to convey because you're trying to follow Frodo and them. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I need to be quick. But here I am like in this huge dungeon that I don't know, it just feels kind of odd in that respect, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'm digging this game, and I will play it through just because even though yeah, I know like what happens in the end, I'm still kind of curious. I love playing PlayStation 2 games anyway, so in the
Well, it's
future when
nice to
I
see where
cover
it
this
goes.
stuff,
Yeah.
so yeah, I wanna see. So
Yeah.
once I beat
Nice.
it, I'll probably bring up my ending thoughts of it. But yeah, there's a lot of games we've been playing, and next
Hmm.
month's game is I'm very excited for.
Yeah. So speaking of plenty of games to play, we are. I think we're going ambitious with this next one, right? This May is going to be Month of the Fox, right? We got Star Fox announcement games. We got Star Fox in the new Mario movie. It's time to go full Star Fox mode, right? So Star Fox games are typically pretty short, right? So it's like an hour each game, a couple hours here, 5 hours there. Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube does go a little longer, but what we're going to do is we are just going to be playing through Star Fox games. Like, we're going to be hitting it hard. We're going to go as many as we can and just see what happens, just to catch back up on this franchise itself, and just have some fun living in that world, right? See what kind of lore we can find throughout it all. It's going to be cross-platforms, cross-generations, but all Star Fox. That's the focus right there. If Star Fox is in the game, we might check it out, right? So, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun because it's going to bring in some variety. I have a feeling that I'm going to play games that you're not, and you're going to be playing games I'm not, right? So,
yeah,
it kind of leaves things a little bit more open there, but I'm very excited for this. This is going to be a lot of fun, especially since some of these games are definitely shorter, right? Being an hour, we can pick that up and just go, which is great, right? 5 hours, not too bad, and easy knockout games, right, over the weekend. But it's definitely a little bit easier than looking at a 30-hour game like Lord of the Rings and seeing if we can tackle it. There's something about that, right? But no, very excited. May is the month of the Fox. We're going to space. We're doing all that stuff. So Star Fox games. And if you want to tag along and join us with our Game of the Month book club thing, just pick up Star Fox game and go. That's as easy as it is, right? Doesn't matter what it is. If it's got Star Fox in the title, go, right? Go hang out with Slippy. Go to Google and type in do a barrel roll. Like, get into the whole vibe of it all. Just have some fun with some Star Fox with us. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys next week with some more games and all that good stuff. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation here about April's Game of the Month, which was Lord of the Rings, the Middle Ages. Once again, be sure to check it out. It definitely is one of those hidden gem games. It's definitely worth it, I think. I think it was a lot of fun. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys next week with some more games. But until then, bye for now.